Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. So my previous subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video in particular, we're going to be doing a Q&A, political tarot subscriber live stream. We have a bunch of questions that you guys are going to ask, and I'm going to answer it for you. I also do have a bunch of questions that I am going to consider in this video as well. We're going to ask about ICE, death, and the Insurrection Act. We're going to talk about Neptune and Aries. And also Pluto in Aries as well. We're going to talk about all those different things. We're also going to do a video on Trump's health checkup, so we're going to be doing that in today's video. We're going to talk about the next United States leader. I don't put president because we don't know if we're going to have a president, but we will know if we have a leader. And then we're also going to talk about the Christian Norm impeachment. We will be doing another live right after this, and that one could be more Sasha Riley, Epstein related. So if you want to hold on to those questions, please do so. Save those for the next live. All right. Let's just go ahead and whatever else you guys decide to ask. So this video is being recorded on Tuesday, January the 27th at 7:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as when I'm recording this specific video. Just keep in mind this video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. If you want to help out the channel, where you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, engaging with the content, hyping this video, really help boost the algorithm here on this YouTube channel. And if you want to stay in the loop and be notified when I do post and upload, follow my Blue Sky account and my Facebook group, which is in the link and in the description below. And also, I do have a cooking channel if you're kind of sick and tired of politics, and sometimes I do have that. And then we also have as well, we have a our resistance store. If that is something you're interested in, you want to buy some merch, if you want to go out and protest and stuff like that, I do also have that in the link in the description below. All right, so let's go ahead. I hate long intros, so do you. Let's move on. Let's talk about the fake ICE death and the Insurrection Act. The reason why we're talking about that now is because I had a feeling that, okay, so just say, for example, you know, the movement and the momentum was moving away from Donald Trump. Donald Trump needs to find a way to move the momentum back on him. And the only way to really do that, in theory, is to essentially cause a death of an ICE officer. So basically, somebody's going to have to take the fall. So then people become outraged and are more likely to separate on those lines. Right now, people are coming together. They're saying, we know what ICE is doing. We know how bad they are. We know what they're doing. We know what they're capable of. But the only way to add more fire to the noise is to cause confusion, which is to kill somebody, essentially kill one of your own, to sacrifice them for the greater good. In his aspect, his greater good. Think of it like what happened to Charlie Kirk. Hello, DM. Hello, James. So that's how I am perceiving that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Insurrection Act in a moment. All right, so Spirit Angels, tell me about the possibility of a fake ICE officer or an ICE officer being killed during a protest. Fake. I'm not saying it actually could. If the person actually dies, then yeah. But what's the likelihood of something like that occurring, especially to create some sort of political narrative or to kind of get the story around people to think in a very particular way, to act in a very particular way? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Ooh, okay, so there is a plan here. This is to hold on. This is to hold on to that sense of power. That's what's going on here. So there is something here. There is a plan that's underway, because this is going to maintain the attention. It's going to bring back the momentum, the energy that they lost. It's going to bring it right back. So yeah, I do actually think that this is going to be something that they're going to attempt. Now, again, this video is just for entertainment and educational purposes only as well. This is the top of the deck here, which is the Four of Cups reversed. The Four of Cups reversed is a proposal and offer. I don't think this person, whoever this person is, that's the sacrifice, they're not going to be aware of this going on. So they're not going to be even clued in. They're just going to be taken out, essentially is what I'm getting. The bottom of the deck here is we have the Seven of Pentacles reversed. The Seven of Pentacles reversed, this is whoever. This is going to be like random. It's going to happen, and it's going to be more than once. It's going to feel like multiple people are targeted. This is more somebody who's calculated. This is somebody who's looking at all these different people and say, okay, we're going to take out this one, and we're going to weigh our option. This is reversed. This means they don't care who goes down. They're just going to do as many as they can to create the narrative. Until the narrative is to their desired liking, they expect more people, more ICE officers to be killed. Again, this is a setup. This is not exactly, you know, something that's going to occur naturally. I don't think anybody's ever going to hurt a federal officer unless it's one of their own kind. And I do feel that there does seem to be a setup. But the person who dies, the person who's attacked or wounded, they're not going to be aware that it's a setup. And the intention is supposed to keep it that way, because by making it so that they're not aware of it, make the story more genuine, make it more truthful. They're not aware that their own kind attacked them, and that's exactly how they want it. And I do feel that, and it feels to be very much on par with what the Nazi Germans did back in Germany when they went into socialist cities and democratic stronghold cities, and they basically baited protesters to go and attack them for political stunt, to get the nation ready for the military and martial law and all those type of things. I do feel that they are going to use this as a narrative to get people to support ICE again. Here we have the Seven of Cups reverse. The Seven of Cups reverse is just simply telling me here that there is one way forward. This is not somebody who makes many plans and try to see what's the best outcome. When it comes in, when the thought process comes in, they're going to act on it, because to them in the moment, it sounds like a great idea. The middle two cards come in as the moon, which means the hidden momentum, hidden energy, right? While these two things are attacking, right, the focus is the Scorpio. The Scorpio is going to be the thing that attacks an individual. Either the person is going to be a Scorpio who attacks them, so they're going to have a birthday around Scorpio, or they're going to actually take place under the moon or the stars in American astrology during the time period of a Scorpio. In some capacity, it's going to be in that form. This is the moon. The moon is simply saying that while the ICE officers and the protesters are barking at each other, this is the ICE protesters and stuff like that, and then here is somebody going in from their own kind, going to go in and attack one of the dogs. One of the dogs is going to be the own kind. It's going to be the same ICE officer, but just somebody who's undercover. Here we have it, the death, which means a permanent ending. It means a rebirth. It's supposed to shift the narrative. We already know that. That's what we're aware of. The death card being upright just means to shift the narrative. And the Four of Pentacles here means to hold on to power, to hold on. So this is going to prolong the process and to stop the bleeding, essentially what this is. This is a band-aid solution. It's not something that could be done long-term. All right, so that's what I'm getting for fake ICE death and, them faking the death of ICE officers and possibly taking them out to spin a certain narrative. We're now going to talk about the Insurrection Act. Now, as you all know already, Donald Trump has already floated the idea multiple times that he is considering enacting the Insurrection Act. So we're going to take a look at that, especially in Minnesota and 5 other states. That was a lot of cards. I didn't even do much. We have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is upright. Why is it upright? The Nine of Swords simply means, we're asking about the Insurrection Act. It means to take a fall. It means to be injured. It means to, and I'm not saying what the card means. I'm just saying what the energy feels that's associated with the card. It basically means to be hammered. That's what I'm getting, hammered. It's going to be coupled with the Nine of Pentacles. It means funding, money. Right? We're asking about insurrection, whether or not Donald Trump is going to declare the Insurrection Act. And that's just at the broader sense. We're not looking at Insurrection Act only in Minnesota. We're talking about the umbrella term. We're talking about whether he'll even do it at all. And here you have it, the Queen of Cups. This means to maintain control. So what does this mean so far? Here we have is the hammer. It means to take a hit. It means to take a fall. The Nine of Pentacles means money. It means plentiful. It means flow. What happens when somebody declares the Insurrection Act? It means guards and military and stuff like that go on the ground. They help support the area to prevent unrest, if you will. That's what the Nine of Pentacles means. It means plentiful of something. We're acting in the context of the Insurrection Act. Well, in this instance, this would be a plentiful amount of troops on the floor. Here you have it, the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups just simply means to contain control. This is a woman who is watching very closely on how things go. right? So this means to contain something, to prevent things from overflowing. Here you have it, the Chariot card, which means swift and fast. Swift and fast movement. This is the military moving in very quickly, which means that this kind of feels like when he's about to announce it, the military is already almost to that direction. It just hasn't been announced publicly in the media. It does feel like just it's unaware. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I declare Insurrection Act. Like nobody knows until the moment they get there, essentially. Here you have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups reverse means not even proposal. I don't even think Congress would even know that this is even ongoing. That if he does consider this, now this is a hypothetical scenario, but I don't even think Congress will be aware that Donald Trump even did this. And that would be considered illegal on itself because he needs to consent to Congress in order to do something like this. But then here you have it's a Two of Pentacles. This means decision. This means that Donald Trump at this point in time is making a decision whether or not he should or shouldn't. It's still on consideration. It is very much being considered. It's not off the table. And then here you have it, the Strength card in reverse. If he does decide to do this, he will be weakened. The military will be weakened. The image will be weakened. This will be the military against the citizens of the United States. It won't be what Bill Clinton did to calm the riots in LA in the 90s. This will be something drastically different. This is the military versus the United States citizens. And that is something that is a very fine line. This is the strength in reverse. It means to weaken. So essentially, let's put it into more perspective here. We have to be hammered, to be plentiful, to contain, swift military movement, underhand approach, underhand proposal Congress is not aware of, decision, whether or not I should or should not make this decision. Then here's the Strength card in reverse. Regardless of what the outcome is, this person is weak. Regardless of how Donald Trump decides to do this, and it declare insurrection, regardless whether he does or doesn't, either way, the Strength card in the end tells me it's going to be a weak outcome. So I don't necessarily know if he's going to pursue it. I don't know. But the ending is telling me he is weak in terms of how he does it. So even if he does, it's not going to be as effective as you think it would be. It wouldn't work. Because again, he put in an illegal action and then blinding the military versus the United States citizen. That's not going to bode well for either party. All right, so we already talked about the fake ice death and possibly them creating a fake accident, and also the Insurrection Act. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Neptune and Aries. But before we do, we have a question for Desmond. Desmond R. 2039. I have a question for you. Will Jasmine Crockett ever become senator in 2026 in November? I could take a look. I did do a reading on Jasmine Crockett. If you want to go ahead and watch that video, I'll put that link in the description below. But I did do a video on Jasmine Crockett. So Spirit Angels tell me on Jasmine Crockett, will she become the next U.S. Senator? What is her path to U.S. Senator? I'm giving a pathway. I'm not saying yes or no. It's just give me a path. Ooh, okay. So we have here in the past, she had lost her seat. We noticed she was redistricted out of Texas, so her congressional seat is no more. So she's no longer able to run for re-election as a House of Representatives member. We also have here as well, we have the Strength card in reverse. And the Strength card in reverse means high political profile. It means somebody who is well known. It's just somebody who has just strength, who has the momentum. It is reverse. It doesn't feel like Jasmine Crockett has the full consent of Texas. And here is why. And this is the only reason why I'm mentioning it in the first place. The Strength card in reverse tells me this has to be rooted in who she is and what she is known for. So you're taking somebody who's very highly progressive and you're putting it against James. I don't know what his last name is, but I know it starts with a T. And he's a white guy. And you're taking a black woman, two minorities, and you're putting it up against him. People are going to go with what is most likely to get them to the finish line. They're not looking to break barriers right now. I don't really feel Texas is ready. And they're looking at the optic. The Democratic primary is really what I'm looking at right now. the Democrats in Texas are saying we are not going to make the same mistake that we did with Harris. We need somebody who we know can actually flip the seat. I think that's going to be her downfall in that way. So she has to do is she has to convince Texas voters on the Democratic Party primary to pick her and why she is more suitable to win that midterm, why she's able to win that Senate seat, why she deserves to be the next U.S. Senator in Texas. She needs to convince the voters in Texas in the Democratic primary why they should choose her over a white guy. I'm not saying it's hard to do anything with races. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like people are looking at optics and they're saying, okay, a black woman up against a white guy. White guys have a tendency to win more in Texas because Texas on a larger scale is a little bit on the racist side, right? So they're looking at it from a more analytical standpoint of view and the logistics and say, okay, does she have the capability to become senator? And I think that they're going to choose James over her on that simple notion, can we get over the finish line? I feel personally Texas is going to do is it's going to try to she's going to make a name for herself, definitely. That's without a doubt. But it does feel like, and I'm trying to articulate this in the best way I can, it feels like Texas wants to break the barrier. It wants her to be that one. But it also feels like it doesn't feel like there's a possibility for them to do it at this time. It feels like there's this conflicting feeling, a conflicting viewpoint where they want a black woman to run and, you know, be the first black woman senator of Texas. But then they also, at the same point, they realize the optic. They realize how hard that really is. And they're looking at the logistics of saying, listen, we could take the risk and put it up front. We actually could lose this. We can lose the Senate if we make the wrong step. And I think people are looking at it from a standpoint where they're like, okay, so we really have to win the Senate. We have to win the Senate back. We have to put the candidate who we think is most likely able to compete on a national, I mean, not on a national, but on a state level. If you would take Jamie Crockett and you do a reading on her in 2028, she is one of those contenders. She is one of those people who really go out and run. So if anything, I feel intuitively, she's likely to run for the 2028 presidency. And I don't really feel like she's going to become the senator, simply on the notion that she has a lot of popularity coming out of this Senate race. I do feel that. I think that Texas is going to go with James, but Jamie Crockett isn't being hammered either. She's not being like pushed down and being shoved aside. No. I think that she has another path here, and the path is the Magician. That's the last final card. Now, this could mean that she could win, absolutely, that she could become the next senator, yes. But the Magician card means that there is more potential for her. This is more rising to a higher level. This is somebody who has experience in the sword, in the pentacle, in the cup, and in the wand. This is the Magician. He has it all. In her instance, she has it all. She has that potential to rise even higher than Senate. She can even become a vice president. She can even become president. The Magician card means Jamie Crockett in this Senate race in Texas could launch her on a national scale in terms of popularity and what she could really represent. Now, if she does decide to win and does decide to continue forward with her Senate campaign and does win the primary and win the Senate race, she has the name recognition. So there's many ways that this can play out. But regardless, the final end game for her is higher than senator. I hope that answers your question, but I do feel like there's a lot of conflicting point of view in Texas right now, and they have to consider whether or not she is a viable candidate. So I hope you do enjoy that, Desmond. I hope you do like the answer, but again, I wasn't trying in any capacity to, you know, make sure you feel like as if like I would try and do something to make you like enjoy the answer, whatever the answer is, but it seems to be pretty positive. Yeah, I can see her becoming president and hope you can do a reading on her. She become president in 2028. Actually, I did. I did do a reading on her for 2028 presidency. I wanted to see what her future was. It's in my Jamie Crockett video. Like I said, I'll put that in the link in the description below and at the end of today's video. All right, so that's going to be a little later, so I hope you do mind. So let's go ahead. While we're waiting for some more questions, we have Neptune in Aries. Let's talk about that. Now, a lot of you guys are probably wondering, Chris, why are you talking about Neptune in Aries? Neptune in Aries, every 165 years, it goes around in a complete cycle. And I did a video last year on Neptune and Aries and what we can expect to happen in the United States. I'll put the link in the description in the comments below for Neptune and Aries. Neptune and Aries in the United States, in terms of his birth chart, the last time Neptune and Aries came into the front and center was the day before the Civil War. Right? We just entered Neptune and Aries yesterday, January 26th, 2026. That was the day that Neptune went into Aries. That means momentum, big shift, massive movements. Then it's coupled with Pluto and Aries and Saturn. All those things mean transformation. It means crumbling. It means the power goes to the people. And we're going to talk about that now. We're going to talk about how you, as an individual, will have the power. Yesterday, what happened? Let's talk about it. Well, yesterday, we actually had the conversion between TikTok go to an American company. But by the way, if you have TikTok, my recommendation is delete TikTok because they now track your sexual orientation, they track your gender, they track your nationality, they track whether or not you are a citizen and other different things as well, illegal stuff. My recommendation is if you have TikTok, delete it now. Do not even attempt to engage with it. Do not agree to the term and condition because it will start tracking you on your phone. So do not agree to it. Just delete the app like I did. That happened yesterday. At the same time that happened yesterday, people got up and rallied for what's quote unquote now officially the resistance. The resistance that people have come together to form a resistance group. Now people are coming together. They realize they see what ICE is doing. And actually, believe it or not, I've been seeing all of the trends. And people are talking about them becoming a former Republican now, registering as independent and Democrat as well. So there's a lot of movement going on here. A lot of movement. Which is why Trump is desperate. Let's talk about the astrological aspects of everything. I'm going to give you a little bit of keynote update, what we can expect in an overall grand scheme. So this is also in some relation going to be related to you in your personal life and how you are going to be affected, not only within the jurisdiction of the United States, but also around the world as well. So we're going to talk about this, and then we're going to do the reading part of it. Okay. Okay. As Pluto, Neptune enters Aries, US, birth chart. Okay. I'm just pulling up the US birth chart right now so we kind of get an idea. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you now. Neptune entered Aries on January 26, 2026 for a stay that lasts up until 2039, beginning a 14-year cycle that drastically shifts the collective dream from passive empathy to active conviction. In the context of the U.S. birth chart, specifically those tracking national cycles, this ingress is highly significant as it mirrors the historical period of the American Civil War from 1861 to 1875, the last time Neptune occupied the sign. It's okay, Jules, you're here on time. Hello, Bike. Impact on the U.S. birth chart. The fourth house, the home and foundation. For the United States, Aries often translate the fourth house. This initiates a deep, slow redefinition of national identity, security, and roots. Which is already what we just saw yesterday with people starting to abandon the Republican Party due to what happened with ICE. Dissolving of borders. Neptune dissolves what it touches. In Aries, this can blur traditional national boundaries or spark movements focused on decentralizing power and returning sovereignty to the individual and local states. Spiritual warrior and ethos. This era encourages you to shift away from, quote, performative online activism toward direct embodied action. So like big protests, confrontations, conflicts, stuff like that. The U.S. may see a rise in, quote, spiritual warriors or ideological crusades where personal beliefs are fiercely defended. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction on February 20th, 2026, transitioning Saturn and Neptune meets exactly at 0 degrees Aries. This is a quote-unquote known as the Great Reset, a moment for the country where an old system may collapse. Saturn, as the new visionary blueprint, Neptune are seated. So what does that mean? It means that starting February 20th, with 0 degrees that in Aries, the Great Reset basically means a lot of things in the country start to just be dismantled. The effects that Donald Trump did back in 2025, because I talked about this before in my psychic channeling, that the seed that's been planted in 2025 will begin to be sowed in 2026, which is February, right? That is what we're expecting now. It also means that whatever you feel internally, the feeling and you working hard and volunteering, working for you, whatever you did for yourself on a personal level, that's also going to come out and about. Key theme for 2026 and beyond: rebellion and autonomy. Whether or not you have the right to your own body, whether or not you have the right to carry and own an arm, to be able to arm yourself against tyranny, right? Whether or not you're able to be part of a resistance against authoritarian regimes. Anticipate a move towards localism and a rejection of centralized institutionalized control, which means a rejection of federal institution and more power to the state government, more power to the people, right? New cultural motif, a trend toward utilitarian fashion, experimental music, and new wave of punk or rebel culture is expected. So that seemed to be like kind of like what happened in the 80s with the rock type of where people kept rebelling. Even back in the 60s, same scenario. Digital unplugging, a collective push to reclaim time from algorithm, to take yourself offline, which makes a lot of sense because remember, what's going on with TikTok is not going to be last and only one. There's going to be multiple news and multiple places where your life is going to be affected, where the government tries to intervene, and try to take away your information, to try to find out who you are. But people are going to take away back and like, whoa. This is body autonomy. This is my personal space. This is where people start to unplug from the digital reality. It's where the separation starts to begin. The surveillance begins to not work as well. We from digital mirages to in real life human connection. So back to people talking again. This is going to be de-radicalizing people. People start to realize, oh, they're not as crazy as I thought they were. Because remember, what's happening right now, people are so comfortable online communicating and ridiculing a whole bunch of people because there's no face-to-face connection. That is about to change. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. We also know that Neptune being in Aries also correlates to the U.S. birth chart and happens every 165 years on top of, what's it called, the 14-year cycle it mentions. Okay, so Spirit Angel, tell me about the astrology in the United States birth chart for Neptune and Aries. What's going on here? Now, we also do know that we did a video recently, a live before this, about the possibility of a civil war. And according to the Pennsylvania Art Institute, they found that actually during a simulation back in 2024, when they ran a simulation about what happened in the first phase of an American Civil War in modern day, it will take place in a socialized city where federal officers start to murder people on the streets. And that's exactly what happened in Minneapolis. That's why it was concerning. The first card that comes in for Neptune and Aries is dissonant, adjustment, discord. Right? So this means that this is beginning. This is the start. That's why it's in this way here, because it means that everything from the past is going to come to the surface. It's going to create a period of uncomfortness, discomfort, talking about things that we are not comfortable talking about. Right? That means admitting the faults of the United States, admitting the failures that we have done, admitting that you are a Nazi or you're not a Nazi. People are going to come to the realization about who they really are at the core. We have here as well is air in reverse, which means expansive, intellectual, inquisitive. People are not going to be as curious anymore. They're not going to question something. There's going to be a group of people who are not going to question. Right? They're just going to accept who they are. And what does that mean? If they're going to accept who they are, and they're thinking about the dissident, the adjustment, the uncomfortable truth, they're going to embrace that. If they're not questioning and saying, hey, listen, this is not normal. I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like that. That's not. This simply means that people, as we start to head into more of the United States and that divide, there are people who are actually going to say outright, yeah, I am a Nazi. I'm not saying to me, I'm just saying, emphasizing how people are going to respond. They're going to say, you know what? You're going to keep calling me that. You know what? I am. And that's when they start to break. That's when the system starts to align itself, where people start to divide themselves along ideological lines. Who are you? That's the question. That is the identity. And it's solely hell bent on what the cards were saying and what they were saying online when it comes to the astrological aspects of Neptune and Aries in the United States. We have powers, which means wisdom, skill, and self-defense. So this does seem to be very clear defining traits. We have here which mean wisdom, skill, self-defense. This is someone who's very strong. This is protesters. These are people who are on the good side. This is the good side. This is the bad side. How do you know? Well, look, it had expansive, intellectual, inquisitive. This is reverse. This is someone who doesn't question. They just embrace the dark side. They embrace the negative side. They say, hey, listen, you know what? You keep calling me a Nazi. Maybe I am a Nazi. And they embrace that. These are the people who are the good side. These are the people who have wisdom, they have skill, they have self-defense. They have to constantly defend themselves from the onslaught of air. Which is ironic because we're in the age of Aries, right? Neptune enters Aries. Here, the next card that comes in is lunar eclipse, culmination, release, and illumination to come forward, to reveal your real side, to reveal your identity. So a lot of people are going to start to act and start to have, Nazi symbolism. They're going to come out and be like, oh, I am a hateful person. We have the second house, which means finances, values, and possessions. One of the collapses that we can expect to occur in February is going to be the collapse of the economy. I do feel like there's going to be something coming. It's the Taurus, and Taurus always indicates the economy, especially the stock market. It looks like a bull. There's going to be a collapse coming in February in terms of the economy and the stock market. Now, I'm not giving you any financial advice in any capacity, but the structural, it's going to be shifting. Now, if you're looking at like strikes and national blackouts and stuff like that, engage in those type of things, because they are going to be highly effective in the month of February. We also do have as well an upright position, which is about to peak, is the third quarter moon, which means breakdown, readjustment, and forgiveness. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? Because it emphasizes on top of the Taurus card, which is the second house of money, right? This is the third quarter moon that's on top of that. This means breakdown, readjustment, and forgiveness. What does this mean? It means that the system is breaking down at its core values. It means something in the system doesn't work anymore. Something fails, right? And they have to readjust. They have to fix something. So possibly there could be a cyber attack on the economy, or even better yet, a digital attack or a stock market, but something happened with money related. And here is forgiveness. What is also in terms of forgiveness? Why is it so important? Why is it coming in the reading? Because there are people who are going to start flipping from the Republican, the hardcore MAGA, and be like, hey, hold on. I vibe with that. I don't identify as that. I identify as an independent. I identify as a Democrat now. There are a lot of those people who are going to start shifting. Don't push them away. Embrace them and say, welcome. Welcome. These are the things that we have been telling you for years, but don't blame them. Don't shame them. Just say, welcome. These are the things that we represent. These are the things that we're fighting for. I hope that you believe the same thing. I hope that you will be able to be a part of the journey with us. The thing is about MAGA people, they want to be a part of something. So why not bring them into the good side? Why not encourage them to join us? And there are going to be those who are going to say, you know what, I don't identify as this. And remember, it's all about coming to ideology. Who do you identify as? I can tell you right now, they do not identify as that. Some of them won't. And some of them are going to be like, hey, listen, I don't identify as this. What do I do? Embrace them with open arms. That's what I can say to you in terms of Neptune and Aries. The bottom of the deck, what is also going on here? We have here, this is starting to peak. This is the fifth house of Leo, which means career. It means hobbies and creativity. This means there's something going on in governmental structure. It means going on something with workforce, with unemployment. It's going to be something that's massive. So what's happening in February is something wrong with the economy. People are losing jobs. People are going to get laid off. There's something happening with the stock market and the economy that's going to get people in big trouble, especially the government as well. I also see a lot of people leaving the government in the month of February. So definitely expect and watch the White House because people are going to be leaving. That's what the fifth house means. The fifth house represents Leo, and Donald Trump is in Leo, which means that Donald Trump is represented in terms of the White House as Leo. It means royalty. It means to be the lion. But the lion is going to start to see some downturn. It's not going to see as much as people wanting to stay on with the president. It's going to be a lack of trust, a lack of loyalty. The top is the full moon, which means culmination, to release, illumination. There are people who are a part of his administration are going to start to essentially break away, and they're going to start to reveal things. That's why the culmination, the release, and illumination is so highly important. Okay, so that is Neptune and Aries. A lot of good information here. And guys, just don't worry if I don't answer all your questions. We will be doing another live after this, and that one's going to be Epstein and Joshua Riley topic, and then plus whatever else you guys feel like asking. But that will be the next live right after this. Okay. All right, so Bike. Question for you. Do you see salary going higher in 2030 or 2032 if you become Congress for a day? Will you be planning to fight the American people, for example, like job and housing program? Okay, so interesting. Interesting question. Okay, so you want to know, do you see salary going higher in 2030 or 2032? I don't know if you're asking specifically a tarot card reading in that aspect, but if I become a congressman, which I assume is what you're asking, what would be my plan to fight the American people, for example, like housing programs? The reason why I'm laughing is because actually you caught me off guard here. So what would I do? Well, first of all, the scenario that would happen, if I understand and take into effect what is happening in 2030, 2032, there can be some massive problems on a seismic level in the United States. The United States is just going to be getting out of a civil war, and it's going to be somewhat in the midst of it. It's also going to be experiencing what's called the Great Recession, the Great Depression, and it's going to be coinciding with economic job losses and the AI bubble completely crashing and eradicating the majority of jobs. So what would I do for a job housing program? Well, that's a great question. I've thought about this for a very long time, and one of the ideas that I wanted to come up with was the restructuring of cities, specifically in like New York City. I don't like the idea of somebody having a 4x4 room or it's just a flatbed studio room where they have this kitchen next to the bed, next to the toilet. I don't like that. I lived in an apartment when I was in Italy, and the apartment was very small. I don't like that. I don't like the idea of people having to constantly think about be able to survive. It shouldn't be cost you $4,000 to just be able to get an apartment complex just to be able to barely live above your means. It's not fair, it's not right, it's inhumane. So in terms of the housing program, I would create initiatives specifically for veterans, especially for people with disabilities, and to be able to find a way where we can actually have a coalescent group of people. So kind of like similar to like a condo complex, but like everything is more cheaper, everything's a lot more affordable. We shouldn't be where you have to be able to pay a massive amount of money just because people are greedy, the landlords in particular. So instead, we will actually subsidize a group of people who want to actually continue to be with the landlord they absolutely can. But then there will be one that will be somewhat associated with the federal government, and the government will institutionalize these resources and be able to allocate some of those resources to build up structure. And to be able to say, hey, listen, these are these buildings, and you're going to keep it at this price. It's not going to go any higher. It's going to go with the inflation rate. So basically, for example, your wage, because I believe in minimum wage, but I also don't believe in that as well, because I believe in what's called inflation wage, which is the word that I made up. But inflation wage is essentially it's minimum wage, except it coalesces around inflation. So whatever the inflation rate is, the value of your salary and minimum wage will go up alongside inflation, which means that your raises, your term of life, your quality of life will go up with inflation, basically meaning that you will never have to worry about whether or not you can afford something. Whereas like a modern day America, where most people earn on average about $7.25 an hour, and the ability to just to be able to live above poverty is about $32 an hour. The big difference. Instead, it will start at whatever the inflation is, and it's going to continue to climb together. Whereas for rent, it's going to continue to do the same, but it's going to become an affordable level. And sometimes there is going to be a cap on rent. There shouldn't be $4,000. It shouldn't be $3,000. It should just be maximum $2,000 for a really nice apartment, and that qualifies for a 2-bedroom, bathroom, and an actual separated kitchen, because we don't want a bathroom next to a kitchen. That's just gross and disgusting. I think everybody can come to terms with that. So that is what I would do. Again, I don't have a full-out plan, a full layout, but just because you did ask me, that's something that I am doing. That's something I think about pretty often. But yeah, thank you for asking. And you also want to know for a tarot card reading, do you see salary going up in 2030 or 2032? That's a question that we can ask. So that's a good question. So Spirit Angels, tell me, will salary go up in the United States in 2030 or 2032? The average American salary go up in 2030 or 2032. Now remember, this is also in relation to inflation as well. I like that. Yeah, I agree. Now, remember, inflation can also increase the prices of, salary as well. So that's not always going to be a good thing to keep in mind here, because we have here the U.S. dollar value goes down. First thing is you want to raise the value of the U.S. dollar. And so if you're asking about, the salary of an average American, that's going to be 50-50. So we have the Ten of Cups here. The Ten of Cups. Now, everything looks all fun and dancy, right? Now, Spirit Angels tell me, without the rich people, just the middle class and lower, is the average American salary going to increase above inflation rate, where most people can live above the poverty line? We have here wishful thinking. This is the Page of Cups. This means to wishful think. This is an idea. It doesn't have potential right now, because you actually have to get the right people in position of power, the right people with ambition to want to pursue that. This is what the Page of Cups is telling me. The Ace of Wands reverse is simply meaning to lead. It means the failure to lead, because this is somebody coming with a proposal. This is somebody who wants to get something done. This is the Ace of Wands reverse. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Congress during that year between 2030 to 2032. Here is the Page of Swords. There's a lot of upheaval. I don't see it. So to answer your question a little bit more specifically, no. The reason why this card comes in is because rich people are taking most of the money. And so when you're asking, it's the average American, including the generic basic, are going to see on average an increase? It's going to be answer going to be no. But when you include the rich people, it's going to answer it's going to be yes, because they're gaining all the wealth. So what does that mean in 2032? It means there's a wider wealth gap between the rich and the poorest in 2030, 2032. So now. Okay, so do you see Gavin Newsom having a good chance at the presidency? So Doris Selin, I did this many times on Gavin Newsom. If you want to go ahead and watch my Gavin Newsom video, I'll put them in the link in the description below and in the comments. In terms of Gavin Newsom, he has a very good chance at the presidency, absolutely, in terms of winning a Democratic nomination. The question is, in terms of what kind of president he's going to be, that is still up in the air. One of the things I've been getting pretty consistently for Gavin Newsom is around the time that he is trying to seek the Democratic nomination and the U.S. presidency, a massive scandal is going to hit him, and it's going to tank his campaign. The question is that you got to hope for is that if that scandal does come out, it got to come out before the end of the Democratic primary. If, however, it doesn't come out before the end of the Democratic primary and it comes out during the time of the presidential election, he will lose the election. So just keeping that in mind now, Gavin Newsom, when I did multiple readings on him, he does have a lot of skeletons in his closet. So in terms of having a good chance at the presidency, yeah, absolutely. Will he be well liked? That's a whole other question. That's a whole other question. And multiple times in my reading, independently, that has not been the case. So no. Okay, so do you see a bad pandemic coming worse than COVID? I did see multiple times in the past when I asked in reading years ago, Will there be another COVID pandemic? The answer was yes. I read last year, back in January and February of 2025, and I asked, will there be a pandemic in the United States and around the world? The answer was also yes. So let's go ahead and let's take a look and see, will there be another event like that? Now, here's the thing. The difference is back in 2020, we were on lockdown. That will not be the case during this next pandemic, depending on who is president. So, spirits and angels, tell me, will there be another pandemic similar to what COVID is or worse in the United States and around the world? Now, I'm going to cap it around 25 years, within the next 25 years. So 2051. We have the death card. This is like giving me illness. It's giving me like death. Because why is this important? Why does this give me that kind of like death type energy? Well, it's giving me this death type energy because when you go to like where like tombstones are, like grave sites and stuff like that, you have to be careful. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go over to someone's tombstone site and they died of tuberculosis or they died of the flu or the influenza, right, and you step over their grave, you can actually potentially get sick from the grave site. So the death card is simply meaning illness. It means sickness, right? Death also means some people die from sickness. That could also be the other explanation, but I went a little bit more detailed. The death card does indicate a pandemic. However, we do have the stemming of one here. This doesn't look like a pandemic that can be solved. This looks like something that stays with humans for quite a while, similar to what happened with COVID, where people got COVID, and now COVID is a daily thing you expect. It's like your average flu now. That's like what it is. I don't expect this thing to come and go. I don't really expect them to truly find a cure for whatever this is. The bottom of the deck here, we have the Knight of Cups. This means it's not a proposal. It's not something that comes out of the out of a lab. It just feels like it's something that just comes out of the blue. It comes out of the blue through the interaction. It comes out through the travel. The top of the deck here, we have the Ten of Cups. This means yes. So yeah, I do feel that. I do feel that. And you see the family coming together. So it is in some way going to tell me that almost like we live in the past. Right? But there's also wishful thinking. We live in the past, but you kind of get what you deserve. Kind of energy. You get what you deserve. Based off of policy and people in position of power, they're going to dictate what countries get worse and what countries get better and how, in terms of how they handle it and stuff like that. All right, so I do want to ask some more questions so we can move on to the next live stream, which is going to be Sasha Riley and the Epstein file. All right, so let's talk about Pluto, because Pluto is important, and especially in America's birth chart, because Pluto is already peaked, and it's going to become very more noticeable as July 4th comes around. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at Pluto here. All right. In 2026, Pluto is firmly settled in Aquarius, with the age of Aquarius means technology, it means the voice of the people, but also means surveillance. Signaling a generational leadership role for the signs as they begin to define the future, which means the young people are going to start to define the next generation. This year is categorized by intense planetary alignments, particularly in a series of conjunctions. In early 2026, they amplify themes of transformation and power. The key Pluto transit in 2026, the Plutonic Gateway in January. Conjunction occurred in late January, most notably Mars conjunct Pluto on January 27, 2026 at 3 degrees Aquarius. Marks a point of no return for personal and collective power shift, which means that you are going to start to realize your potential. You're going to start to realize that. So if you haven't realized how strong you are now and how strong your voice is, the protesters, their voice is moving things. It's moving things. Like there's an investigation underway. There are threats from congressmen and senators threatening the president of the United States, saying, listen, if you do not handle this situation, you do not investigate, you do not handle Kristi Noem, we will do it on your behalf. So there's a lot of power, a lot of internal drive here. We have here Pluto retrograde. Pluto stationed retrograde on May 6, 2026 at 5 degrees Aquarius and remains in reverse until October 16, 2026, when it stations direct at 3 degrees Aquarius. What did this mean? Why is this important? Why is this significant? Well, because Pluto is going to be going retrograde, but goes back to the sign that it was at the beginning of the year. What does that mean? It means November 3rd or November 4th, we have the 2026 midterms. Why is this significant? Because the energy and movement of what we have now, what we're experiencing now on a collective level from January, February, March, is going to repeat in October, November, December, which means it's going to be fresh in the minds now. People are going to remember when they go to the midterm, when they go to the polls and they vote. People are going to remember how they felt now. Now, how they felt in May, how they felt now. How did Donald Trump and the administration make people feel in the month of January, February, and March? People are going to be voting that way. Your identity, how you choose to feel, whether you feel and embrace the idea of you being a Nazi, or you embrace an idea of you being a good person, being part of the resistance, there's going to be a very clear divide in this midterm. People are going to go back to those roots. It goes back to the energy of power and, back to leading the way. Whoever comes out and votes will be the one who leads the way. The magic triangle, starting July 2026, which we talked about many major things that are going to happen in the United States starting July 4th, 2026, was coinciding with the possibility of Donald Trump wanting to do the Hunger Games in the United States. That starts in July, right? Pluto formed a harmonious minor grand trine with Uranus and Gemini. Now, remember back in July of 2025, I talked about Uranus and Gemini, how that major theme was going to play out, or what we can expect the next time it comes out, which means that, during July of 2025, we had Elon Musk fighting with Donald Trump. We had Elon Musk threaten a third party. We had people releasing the Epstein file, Donald Trump getting sick, black hand, something was wrong with his feet. So a lot of things were playing out in July and August of 2025 that we can expect to happen again. Now, it's not saying that Elon Musk is going to announce another third party, no. But because he announced it during that time period, the theme is there, which means that just say the Democrats or the Progressives want to announce a brand new party in July 2026, they might as well do so because the energy is ripe in that moment. So the stories and the major themes and context of whatever happened is going to play out again. Expect more Epstein, Sasha Riley related events to occur within that time period. Right? This alignment is viewed as one of the most positive configurations of the century, supporting innovation and visionary breakthrough up until 2028, which means that massive movements in terms of AI, medical breakthrough, stuff like that. I'm not making this stuff up. This is literally what is in the magical triangle when it comes to Pluto stationing, and specifically when Uranus enters Gemini again in July of 2026. The same exact movement that we expected July 7th, 2025. Major aspects. Saturn sextile Pluto, March 28th. A supportive link between, quote, the taskmaker and the transformer at 5 degrees Aries and Aquarius, helping to ground new power structures, a new system in place, people wanting to change them. I do feel like if that's the case, and this is the time for Donald Trump impeachment, it will take place around March 28th. Jupiter opposite Pluto, which is July 20th, a push and pull between expansion and intensity, which may highlight power struggles or the need to balance growth with control. This means Donald Trump trying to balance out, or just say whoever the president of the United States during this time, it means to control the economy, or also trying to also maintain control of the people. This means things are starting to go haywire in July. Something's going to break out in July. It's going to make people start to have unrest and riots and protests. There's going to be a lot of things going on around July of 2026 and August 2026. A lot of intense activity, and it's going to be that push and pull narrative which we already expected, right? It's also going to be coalescing around 5 degrees Aries and Aquarius, which means this year is alone, it can be very exhausting, but very, very powerful if you're on the right side. The impact by sign. Aquarius, this is the architect of the next era, the next generation. entering its primary power era as Pluto transits its first house of identity. We talked about identity in this video before, how people have to choose no longer between independent. They cannot be moderate on this. They have to either choose to be on the good side or on the bad side. That's the identity. And we did a video back in 2024, the American identity, how Americans are going to have to choose between who they want to align themselves with. Leo, which represents the governmental structure, the royalty, Donald Trump and his administration. Oftentimes, the White House is referred to as the Leo, which represents the relationship, undergone a massive overhaul. We've talked about many times before in my second challenge, back in 2025, where I talked about how we can expect a lot of people to leave the White House. Right. Also, it means as well as Leo, because it's referred to the White House and Congress and the senators, it means that House Representative members and senators will lose many of their seats. Incumbents will lose seats, which means that if we're looking at races where a Democrat who hasn't won a seat in Texas has a high potential of winning Texas Senate race. That's something that we haven't had before, but the potential is there now. The energy is there now. We also talked about Scorpio early in the video. Focus on deep internal renovation and potentially redefine the sense of home or foundation. We talked about a possible attack on ICE and ICE officers and how that was going to be orchestrated in a plan to try to get the population to be back on the side of ICE again. Scorpio, the guy who either attacks the person is going to be a Scorpio, or the energy or the day it's going to take place on is going to be around the time period of Scorpio. This talked about the redefining and the redefinition of home and foundation. It means what it means to be an American. Some people are going to view this person as a hero. The other people are going to view it as the enemy, a domestic terrorist, if you will. And then the last card here as well is, not the last card, but the last meaning is Capricorn, which means after years of struggle, this sign is finally reclaiming power on its own terms as Pluto leaves its sign for good. It means that if you're a Capricorn, you are now going to be able to reclaim your power. And Capricorn oftentimes more than not means corruption. It means to control. It means the conniving, the dark stuff. That's gone. This is referring to Hollywood. There are people who are going to go down in Hollywood this year. I said this many times before. This is the beginning of the end for Hollywood. It's not going to be the end of Hollywood. It's going to be the beginning of the end for Hollywood, meaning the start of those people who are conniving and evil and, manipulative and dark and hateful and, doing all these Nazi-like rhetoric and them supporting people and backstabbing the people. That's coming towards an end. Hollywood, in that aspect, is ending. And that is in relation to Pluto and Aquarius and Capricorn. Capricorn is represented by luxury and materialism. I don't even think I need to really explain that because I was psychically channeling as I was doing that, and I was really intense, so I don't even think I need to do anything there. All right, so you have the question, Coolman7640. I have a question for you, Chris, from your tarot card reading. Will the felon ever go away permanently from his presidency this year or next year in 2027? Okay, that's a good question. So, in past reading, and even in psychic channeling, I never saw Donald Trump in 2028, at least on a political level, on a political field. So, will he go away in 2028? Likely. But will he be gone before January 31st, 2028? Very likely. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at that. We're going to see how he is in 2026 and how he is in 2027. So, spiritual angels tell me, will Donald Trump leave the White House and no longer be president of the United States in the year 2028? In the year 2028, will Donald Trump still be president in the year 2028? Okay? In 2027, will Donald Trump still be president in 2027? In the year 2026, this year, will Donald Trump still be president of the United States? And in the year 2029, will Donald Trump still be president of the United States? And when I say 2029, it's January 2029 before he hands over the reins of power to the next president. That's an if. Because Donald Trump said he wants to be president forever, so. But you cannot cheat death forever. So the bottom deck here is the Fool card in reverse. The Fool card in reverse means potential. It means caution. But that's what this means here, right? When it's upright, it means risk. Reverse, it means caution. So it's telling me here that we have to be very cautious on the wording of the question that we're asking. Because if you ask about, okay, for example, are they going to be president in 2027? And just say Donald Trump passed away on January the 2nd, 2027, well, technically Donald Trump was still president in 2027. Just understanding the context here. The top of the deck here is the seven of Pentacles reversed. This means looking at how many years he has left as president. These are many. This is reversed. There are not many left. Donald Trump is on his way out, and I said that many times before. Judgment is coming for him. Judgment is coming for him. He is going to die. Here is the Lover's card. This is another angel. He is going to die. I don't see him lasting that long. This is the Two of Swords reverse. It means he doesn't have a choice. Whether he wants to hold on until his death, that's up to him. But he doesn't have forever. He does not have forever. If you watched a lot of my videos from before, and I told you guys many times before, if you're new here, you didn't know this, but if you're older with me and you've been with me for quite a while, that all my videos have a story that they're playing out. Each video is a story within itself, but it's all at a broader perspective. When you look at it from a grandeur point of view, you see an entire story. You see me talking about Neptune and Aries. You see me talking about Pluto Return. You see me talking about fascism. You see me talking about concentration camps. You see me doing all these things. But when you start to watch them all, and you start to look at the bigger picture, you start to see all the stories, it makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot more sense. I start to understand the reality that we're in. The problem with a lot of like psychics and tarot card readers online on YouTube, they read a topic and that's it. They don't do anything. I tell you the story. I read the story and I continue the story. Each video that I put out flows one into the other. That's why it's so important to watch all the videos. Each video flows, if you will. And if you go and look back in February of 2025, I did a video on Neptune and Aries. And then I followed it up and saying that Donald Trump is on his way out, or the end is almost here. Then recently, I did a video just recent, this month alone, that the time was almost out. Donald Trump only had 86% left of the presidency, and then he's gone. Right? Each video tells a story. Sometimes a year in advance, sometimes 5 years in advance. I tell you the story, and then you revisit and you're like, oh, that makes sense. So, going into your reading here and asking your question a little bit more specifically, you want to know whether or not Donald Trump will still be president. Well, we have 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. In 2026, we have the Five of Wands reverse, followed by the Emperor's card in reverse, with the Knight of Pentacles upright. There is going to be an offer to the president to leave on his own terms. There is going to be an offer. There is going to be an opportunity. But the question is, will he take that opportunity or will he hold on? This is the Knight of Pentacles. This is stopping. He has one chance at this opportunity. There will be an offer to him, whether it's publicly or behind the scenes, to step down. This card here is the Five of Wands. This is the first card that came out for 2026. This means that he is fighting not people within his own party. He was fighting externally. This is control. We also have here the Emperor's card. This means his health. His wife and him are going to start to diverge. His marriage is going to start to diverge. He's going to feel alone. But Melania is not going to divorce him because she's waiting out his death. Because why would you give up? Why would you be with a man for this long and then just give up? She might leave him. She might go to another place for a while, but she's not divorcing him. But he is going to be alone. This is the Emperor's card in reverse. This means that he's going to have an opportunity without having anybody to rely on. And because of that, what does this mean here? It means that because Melania Trump is not going to be present with Donald Trump, and just say, for example, Donald Trump needs advice or he needs some sort of consoling or whatever. I don't really know what the relationship is like. He's not going to be able to do that. There's going to be a void there, and it's going to stress him out. He's going to make the wrong decisions, and it's going to make things worse for him. 2027. We have the Strength card on the bottom. The Strength card in 2027, at least the beginning half of the year, it's going to tell us a very interesting story. Donald Trump's power in 2027 is going to be very weak. He's going to have a very hard time governing the country in the beginning half of 2027. In the later half of 2027, he's going to come in with a proposal. But remember this proposal that he has an offer to resign the presidency. But he doesn't look like he takes that offer. He has the opportunity, but he doesn't take it. That's why the horse is stopped. That's why the horse is not moving forward. Here you have the Three of Pentacles. This means something comes to the forefront. He could have took the easy way out. He could have resigned, chose not to. This is the Three of Pentacles. This means the article of impeachment, the 14th Amendment, whatever it is that they're going with, has been brought to the table. This is the later half of 2027. Come forward to 2028. We have here out of the White House by 2028. This is the Four of Wands reverse. This could be that he is forcibly removed. This could be the 25th Amendment. This could be the 14th Amendment, Section 3. There's many ways that this can go. But 2027 looks like the last year for Donald Trump. 2028, he's not even here. And this is the Four of Wands reverse. Out of power, out of office, out of control. And here you have is the Three of Swords reverse. The Three of Swords reverse means he can no longer betray anybody. He can no longer betray anybody. Therefore, the betrayal card is reversed. In 2026, justice has been served. 2029, justice has been served. That is what I'm getting. So what do we have here? We have 2026. We have the beginning part of the year. But actually, this is technically the beginning part. Well, actually, no, this way. Right? So this is where we are now. He is trying to control things. Things are in his way. This is the beginning of 2026, which is where we are now. He is becoming very authoritarian, very dictator-like. Right? Control protests, control people. Here is the Emperor's card in reverse. It means that he is going to be lonely. People around him are going to start leaving him. People are no longer going to help console him, give him advice. They're not going to do anything. So even people in the White House are also not going to be helping Donald Trump in 2026 as we start to get towards July and June. This is what the Emperor's card is. The time frame is entering. It's July, June, and May, and August. As we start to head into the later half of 2026, he is giving a proposal. This could be the midterms. This could be what this card is. The Knight of Pentacles means his administration, his agenda has been halted. This is the Knight of Pentacles. He has an opportunity to leave, which means that if the Democrats are in position of power and they do win both the House and the Senate, this means that Donald Trump is going to be given the opportunity by Democrats to say, hey, listen, you're going to resign, and we're not going to be as harsh on you if you just leave the presidency. He's not going to do that. That's why he's been halted. However, come early 2027, we have the Strength card in reverse. And that means his power is weakened in the beginning half of halfway of 2027, and the impeachment article is brought to the floor, and he is out of power by 2028. So that's what I'm getting. He is given an opportunity, a one-time opportunity to leave the White House prior to January of 2027. So he has up until December 31st, 2026 to leave the White House on his terms. If he does not, then he is going to go down a lot harder. So that's what I'm getting for Cool Man 7640 on whether or not Donald Trump will be president up until 2029. He will not be. His term is ending before that. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and let's take a look at Trump's health. And then we're ending this live off. And then we're going to start the next live in a couple minutes after this one. And we're going to do Sasha Riley and Epstein files and stuff like that. And then whatever questions you want to ask after that. Okay, let's take a look at Donald Trump's health. I'm getting told to look at the chakras here. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at his chakras. So what do you guys think so far about what I said about Donald Trump and his life? Really curious to see what you guys are feeling right now. All right. So if you're not aware of chakras, chakras are the body energetic alignment. These are pinpoints in your body. It is along your spine. You have the red, which represents the root chakra. The sacral represents the orange. Yellow represents solar plexus. Green represents the heart chakra. Blue represents the throat chakra. Dark purple, indigo, represents the third eye. And magenta or pink represents the crown chakra. All right, now that you're aware of that, let's go ahead, let's read on Donald Trump's health. So Spirit Angels tell me about Donald Trump's health in 2026. From now up until the end of 2026, what can we expect about Donald Trump's health, whether mentally, physically, emotionally? Tell me about Donald Trump's health. I'm surprised nobody has any comments about what I said about Donald Trump not being president in 2028 and the story that I gave. Really curious to see why. Anyway, the first card that we get in with the third eye chakra was represent a knowledge spirit. So as you already know, Donald Trump has been saying repetitively over since 2025 that he's going to heaven. That's a funny joke. He's going to heaven. That he sees God, he talks about God, and he's trying to be a good person, all these things, talking about heaven. A knowledge spirit. What is the first sign that someone is almost close to death? They start talking about beyond the physical. This is not somebody who is talking about being alive in the moment, because somebody who is alive now is not going to be thinking about death and not thinking about the beyond. They're going to be like, okay, so I'm alive right now. I'm not going to be sitting here thinking about death. There's something about Donald Trump's health that is alarming him to the point that he is going to start seeking the spiritual religious aspect of his life. The next card is that we have the sacral chakra, which means his well-being, the solar plexus. Yeah, the solar plexus. To me, I was so wrong. This is the sacral chakra. This is not the solar plexus. The sacral chakra means well-being. His well-being, his capacity, his stomach area, his lower stomach. So this is the sacral chakra. This is the band. It's like right above your pant belt or wherever you put your belt. It's like that band here. So he's going to be going through a lot of intestinal problems, kidneys and stuff like that. The next card here, we have acceptance of self. This is the heart. So this is telling me that he is dying. Like he is aware he's dying now. We're asking about Donald Trump's health checkup. This is the heart, which means acceptance of self. I don't feel like he accepts himself. Because remember, he is thinking about the external part. He's thinking about life beyond the physical. And he said repeatedly, I'm going to heaven, I'm going to heaven, that's where I'm going. There's a part of him that feels he's not going. And he knows that. He's aware of that. He's not like an idiot in any capacity. He knows that he's not going to heaven, but yet he's repeating it because he wants to make himself feel better. Because there's a part of him that feels disconnected, not confident enough that he is going to make it to the other side. That's why the heart chakra is reversed. You also have here as well as we have the crown chakra, which means the understanding. What did he know on an understanding level? It means selfishness. He knows he's not selfless. He's selfish. He only thinks about himself. And he knows that. That's why he feels that he cannot accept himself. I think he's going to die unhappy about the life that he lived. And by the time he realizes that, it's going to be too late. And this card here, which is reversed, was it the throat chakra? It's his communication skills. What is he expressing my feelings? He did not express his feelings. He lies and lies and lies. Somebody who lies on a consistent basis has a hard time expressing how they feel because all they are used to is lying. He is a lion. That's why, ironically, I said Leo, and Leo is a lion, and therefore he's always lying, but therefore he's a lion. A lot of words that rhyme and sound too similar to close together. Why is this also important as well? Well, in one of my second challenge in May of May of 2025, I also talked about how he is going to get to this period of death where you start to realize that maybe he should have done more good than harm. And it's too late by the time he realizes that. I'm trying to look at where he dies. Okay, here it is. This is my New Dawn video. It's a New Dawn. So this is like the big great obituary, but like a couple days prior, a week before, this was channeled at 2:08 p.m. on May the 6th, 2025. I'm going to read it to you. Trump the trumpet blew the whistle of the new age back in 2016. But boy, oh boy, has he tried again to do just that. You cannot and will not usher in two new orders. Only one can be just. But he is stupid and doesn't understand the nature of the universe. Kindness rules the earth, but evil has hidden it. Evil is in the forefront, which means evil is in front and center. While kindness is hidden in the foreground, which means kindness is in the back, which means that you don't see people being kind to one another because people are not trying to showcase how kind they are. People just do things from the kindness of the heart, whether people are watching or not. People who are evil do it in the front, in the camera. They want you to see that. They want you to see that image, that theatrics, right? This doesn't mean kindness doesn't exist. It just means others are kind when not watched. And for that, kindness goes a long way to heal the earth. Kindness can make the most evilest of men become pure. Because only light can heal darkness. Darkness cannot heal itself, but that it cannot see. The men of the earth are just that in its entirety. Men like Trump cannot see such light, for that those around him seek to keep him in such darkness. His father created a monster, but we as a collective suffer because of it. If only then there was a way to show Trump that evil isn't the only way. Then and only then if only then there was a way to show Trump that evil isn't the only way. Then and only then purity can grace this planet. If this were to occur, it would be only on his deathbed. Nothing more, nothing less. He done so much evil that even if he somehow became good, he would be punished. And that's why evil benefits outweighs the good. A new dawn is upon him. Okay, yeah. Okay, that was pretty informative, actually, at least for me. I don't know about you. Okay, so now that we know his health, he knows that he's a knowledging spirit. We know that he is thinking about life after death. We know that he's having problems in terms of his well-being in 2026 up until the end of this year. We know that there's problems. Here, we do know that at the sacral. We know that he is having a hard time accepting who he is as an individual, and that is also coalescing around the spiritual aspect. He really wants to go to heaven so badly that he is having a hard time accepting the darkness. He is somebody who is embracing the shadow side, but doesn't let the good in. We have here selfishness. He realized that he is selfish. This is the crown chakra. It means I understand I'm selfish. So he knows he's selfish. He's not an idiot. He knows that. That's something that he's done. And is he going to do something to fix it? No. Why? What did the challenge say? The challenge said, that even if he tried to be good, even on his deathbed, he will realize it at that moment that no matter what he does, he knows he's going to be punished beyond. And so he says to himself, the benefit of being evil outweighs the benefit of being good. So I don't really see him being good long term. And then you also have here expressing his feelings. He lacks the ability to express how he truly feels on the inside. So we have here the third eye, which means his brain, his mental aspects. He's not as stupid as you would think. He does have some problems also in the crown chakra, so his head, the top of his brain, the part that controls his left and right side, which means that something like almost like a stroke type situation. We have here the sacral chakra, which represents the stomach issues, the heart, so there is problem with his heart, and also the throat. So he's going to have problem communicating towards the time that he starts to die and pass out. Okay, so we have here is the sacral chakra, was talked about ovaries, testes, kidneys, bladder, prostate, pelvis, body fluids, adrenal gland, large intestine, the lower back, and sacrum. If I have a feeling about what is something that he is going to experience in terms of his physical well-being, it's going to be his body, specifically his pelvis. I do feel like he's going to fall and he's going to have to go through hip surgery. That's the main one. Because of the hip surgery that he does go through, it doesn't feel like he's going to start undergoing an x-ray and they're going to find something in his prostate, specifically a tumor or cancer. He's going to undergo that. But because he canceled the scientific research back in 2025, the cancer research is going to bite him in the ass. There's that. We have the heart chakra. I mean, the heart, the lung, the circulation, hand, shoulder, breast, and upper back. We already know that his hands and feet are starting to really either swell up or get black and blue, which means that his blood circulation is very poor. We know that already. That's not a scientific thing. I mean, that's a scientific thing, but that is not a spiritual thing. That's obvious. We already know that. We have here the throat chakra. I mean, mouth, teeth, jaw, neck, ears, arms, bronchitis tube, upper lung, shoulder, and tongue. I do think that because he decided to go ahead with the fake assassination attempt on his life back in July of 2024, I do think that he actually is going to start to actually experience real problems in one of his ears, specifically the ear where he was supposedly shot. I do think that that's karma. That's playing there. That's karma. And I'm also seeing a lot of rotten mouth. I feel like his breath is going to really stink. So stay away from that. If any of you guys come across him, which I don't think you will, but you know. We have the third eye here, which means third eye chakra. He's fine in terms of his imagination and his intuition. We know that. The crown chakra is reverse, which means pineal gland, skull, and brain. That means internal in the brain. There's something going on with his brain internally. It could be a stroke. So that's what I'm getting for Donald Trump in terms of his health. Less in 2030. Will it be more common in 2030 without ICE and people getting kidnapped by them, and also no more tariffs? ICE is not going to be here long term. I did a video recently on abolishing of ICE and what that's going to look like. There's going to be a reform. There's going to be some sort of change. I don't think ICE is going to be around in 2030. Jokes on a lot of people who sign up for ICE. There's a 5-year packet where they say, hey, listen, we're going to pay for your student loans, you're going to get all these benefits and stuff like that. We're also going to pay you and increase your salary because you're a federal agent. Guess what? That 5-year puts it in exactly in 2030. Do you really think Donald Trump is going to hold on to power in 2030? No. Those people got conned. So to keep that in mind as well. People getting kidnapped by them, often no more tariffs. That's a Trump thing. If I had to look at historical president, that doesn't seem to be something that every president had ever pursued. The only time a Republican always seemed to use it, and each and every single time, what to call it? This is funny. But each and every single time that a president have ever used tariffs. A Great Recession or a Great Depression actually follows. The economic downturn goes down with a tariff. So no, I don't see anybody using tariffs long term. If I'm using my brain and historical precedent to understand how things are normally, that's a no. And also the structure of the United States is going to be drastically different in 2030 than it is now. So we might not even have a president. We might have a prime minister. We might have something drastically different. But no. So if things are going to be calmer in 2030, the answer to your question is no, because I do know that, because according to all my cards, even years ago, that has always been the answer. That's always no, particularly because there's either a civil war or some sort of outbreak. And around 2030, the United States Constitution is now going to reach 250 years old. So it's about 12 years different between when the United States was founded to when the Constitution was adopted. So because of that, it's going to put it right in 2030s. There's going to be a lot of issues revolving around the Constitution and its restructuring of government and what is considered a constitutional right, and also people's Bill of Rights, which means the right to bear arms, the right to protest, the right to freedom of speech, and all these things will be all in the question. And also, a lot of states have already, I think about 13 states already, if I'm correct, signed on to redo the Constitutional Convention and reconvene, and we talked about whether or not the Constitution is still valid and whether or not it needs to be updated or not. The question is, you want to have people in the right position of power in the right time. Right now, this is the worst time to be talking about a constitutional convention and revising the Constitution, because people in position of power right now are abusing their power. They want to control. So if you give them the power, the capability to revise the Constitution, they're not going to revise it for the American people. They're going to revise it in a way that's going to keep them in power. So I'm just telling you what I know internally, what I get from past readings and stuff like that, and historical precedent, because I do have a very strong note of understanding historical references and stuff like that. So I hope I was able to give you a little bit of providing in terms of the answer to your question. All right, guys, so this is enough questions for this specific live. I will be going live in about 10 minutes, give or take. So get ready, get your questions out. We're going to start talking about Epstein files and Sasha Riley. I will see you guys in about 10 minutes. Thank you. I love you. And I'll see you guys over there. Thanks for watching.